Setting up and maintaining a complaints and feedback mechanism is an important part of safeguarding for civil society organizations. A complaints and feedback mechanism is a way for communities to raise concerns or provide feedback to an organization. It enables organizations to listen to feedback and complaints from community members and to respond in a timely and confidential manner. A complaints and feedback mechanism should include a range of safe, accessible, and appropriate reporting channels for all community members. Feedback or complaints on various topics can come through a complaints and feedback mechanism, including on the program services, fraud or corruption, or on sexual exploitation, abuse, and sexual harassment caused by staff in an organization. A complaints and feedback mechanism can have different names. Some organizations use community-based complaints mechanism, feedback, complaints, and reporting mechanism, or other names. Whichever name you use, the process for setting up and maintaining the mechanism is the same. Before you start, it is important to remember that in order to work well, a complaints and feedback mechanism needs to be designed in consultation with those who would use it, such as community members, and those who have a role to ensure it works well, the organization. For example, it needs engagement from community members of all ages, gender, disabilities, or any other reason targeted by the programs. Program monitoring, evaluation, and learning staff and activities, community engagement staff and efforts, finance and audit staff and procedures, as well as human resources staff and procedures. We have laid out 10 steps to setting up a complaints and feedback mechanism. Step 1. Secure leadership commitment to seek out and act on complaints or reports about your staff, volunteers, representatives, or programs from anyone who interacts with your organization. Step 2. Agree an internal process for handling reports when they come in. Who is responsible for what? How will you support victims or survivors? Who will analyze reports? Who will feedback? How will confidentiality be maintained? Step 3. Complete a mapping of local support services. For example, of legal, psychosocial, medical, and child protection support services. Make sure all staff can access the details. Develop a plan so that urgent cases can be referred to local support services. Where services are not in place, identify options in nearby locations and ensure that you can support the transportation. Step 4. Train all staff to receive reports appropriately and to report in line with the agreed internal processes. Step 5. Understand how other organizations working in the same area are seeking out and acting on complaints and reports. Try to avoid creating different mechanisms for each organization or project in one location. Where possible, identify other organizations to share a mechanism with. Where a joint mechanism is not possible, ensure that you can contact other organizations in case a report or complaint is received about them. Step 6. Explain to community members that your staff and programs should not cause sexual exploitation or abuse to them or anyone else, and that you encourage feedback and complaints about staff behavior and how organization delivers its services. Explain your organization's intention to listen and respond to all reports or complaints received. Step 7. Consult with different members of the population, including persons with disabilities, boys, girls, men, and women you are aiming to reach on how they would like to report. It may be that they want to use different avenues for different complaints, such as complaints boxes for feedback, but a trusted staff member to discuss SEAH. It could be useful to consider existing community structures and reporting mechanisms, accessibility of existing community structures and reporting mechanisms, communications channels, languages and locations, and reasons why different individuals or identity groups may not report. Step 8. Decide how your organization will appropriately feedback to the community on how their feedback, complaints, or reports are being addressed. This will vary according to type of report or complaint. Feedback to a community will not be possible in cases where it may risk the confidentiality or anonymity of the victim, survivor, or perpetrator. Step 9. Agree and set up your channels for communities to report. Remember to incorporate the wishes and needs of diverse groups, such as children and persons with disabilities. Step 10. Raise awareness in the community about your complaints and feedback mechanism. Make sure that community members understand why it is important for your organization to hear their feedback and complaints. Understand what safeguarding is. Understand that your safeguarding mechanisms are for everyone, regardless of your social status, disability, age, or any other reason. Know what behavior to expect from your staff and associated staff. Know what they can report and how to report abuses or complaints, and know what to expect after submitting a report. Once you have set up your complaints and feedback mechanism, your work is not done. A further 6 points are needed to ensure that your mechanism is used and maintained appropriately. The Safeguarding Resource and Support Hub in Nigeria has more resources that can help you deliver a successful complaints and feedback mechanism. Access our site for more information on case handling, how to effectively respond to a report, what consent and confidentiality is, and much more. Our website is www.nigeria.safeguardingsupporthub.org.